Бабо, айде да си направим штолен.
Штоле, кво?
Штолен бе, немски сладък хляб с плодове.
Лайно, ние козунак нямаме ли си?
Не е баш същото, бабо, не дей така.
Я не ми говори. Още малко тука свастики ще искаш да окупираме Париж или Полша. Сядай си на газа, ще правим козунак. Иване, пали Волгата и отивай за масло.
Чума! Welcome to the new video. Today we will be preparing a special holiday bread. It's typically prepared for Easter, but you can prepare it for other holidays or whatever you want. This bread has a special name and it is Cozonac. It is a special sweet leavened bread traditional for Romania, Bulgaria, Serbia, Moldova. It is quite rich in eggs, milk and butter. In Bulgaria it is most often prepared for Easter, but as I said, it can be prepared for other holidays such as Christmas, New Year's Eve. It's more traditional to prepare it during Christmas and New Year's Eve in Romania and Moldova. The history behind this sweet bread actually dates even back to Egypt. It is quite possible that the first Cozonac was prepared in ancient Egypt and was sweetened with honey and filled with some dried fruit. Essentially, from the Egyptians, the Greeks gained a lot of knowledge, and not only knowledge, but they shared meals, they shared dishes, cuisines, so the Greeks adopted the Cozonac bread with the time, and they prepared it again with honey, raisins and with walnut. Yeast, which we'll be using today, and leavened breads of course were later introduced to the Romans, where they prepared it a lot. In the Middle Ages, Europeans prepared this bread mainly with dried fruit because it lasted a little bit longer. In Great Britain, which is known with its national Indian cuisine, the first Cozonac bread was introduced in the 17th century in a cookbook, where it said that it should be prepared in typical trays or forms like elongated ones. We won't stick to these forms today. As you will see, the French people, sacre bleu, were the ones who in the 19th century introduced the third meal, mainly known as the dessert today, and they really fell in love with this sweet bread. And of course they have their own variety of it. The French variety of course is known as brioche. Today mainly the version that you see today is prepared on the Balkans and on the eastern countries, mainly in Romania, Bulgaria, Serbia, Moldova. And it is considered traditional food there. As you see, in this sweet bread, eggs, milk, butter and yeast are mixed up in a dough and they are left to rise for a little bit before baking. In Bulgaria, the Cozonac bread is typically prepared with a sprinkle of lemon zest and some vanilla. As we will do today, the Romanian neighbors basically do the same thing. Examples of such bread are present in a lot of cuisines, in the Portuguese, in the Croatian cuisine, which the names of these breads there I cannot pronounce. I mean, I can write them up somewhere, but I cannot pronounce them, so sorry about that. There's the brioche in the French cuisine, kulich in the Russian cuisine, panettone in the Italian cuisine, hot cross bun in the English cuisine, chalach in the Jewish cuisine, and stollen, which is a distant relative of the Cozonac, in the German cuisine. Such rich brioche-like breads are also traditional around Hungary and the Czech Republic. Enough history for today, you may become bored. Today I'll show you an easier version of this bread which my mother provided me with the recipe for. With that said, let's see how to prepare it. It's quite difficult, but don't be afraid. I was preparing it for the first time and it came out perfect. So just follow the steps and you'll be alright. And now let's start with the products. You will need 250 grams of crushed bleached wheat seeds, 2 chickens in turtle form, 35 grams of compressed cow juice fat, 35 to 40 grams of demonized sweetie perfection, 130 ml of regular cow juice, some salt, fake vanilla, lemon zest and cubed yeast, because circular yeast is hard to find and too mainstream. And yes, you can use dry yeast too. After that, you enter the secret codes for the Slavic sequence for making KOZUNAK bread. Kidnap your cow juice as a beginning and warm it in your microwave or however you can. Do not overheat it. Around 30 to 35 degrees Celsius or 95 to 100 Fahrenheit should be more than okay. While your milk is resting in the warm place, sift your flour however you can. It is an important thing to do that. So we can add air to it and remove some not flour stuff from it. Take your cube of yeast, you need half of it, or around 20 grams. I'm not sure how much your cubes weigh. Break it down into chunks into your flour. Make some kind of a well from the flour, no need to be perfect, and just break the yeast into chunks with your hands. Meanwhile, our milk has rested into a warm place and we should add it to the yeast and the flour. Take a purple towel and cover the bowl. Put it in warm place. I put it in a warm and sunny place for 15 minutes so the yeast can poof. Basically, this is the process of activating the yeast because it's basically a living thing. We do not want a passive yeast for a leavened dough after all. Meanwhile, take one of your eggs from the egg white. We'll need the white for a special thing in the end, so keep it. Put the yolk and one more whole egg into a neutral color bowl and add some salt and your vanilla. Change angles for more cinema value and add the lemon zest and the sugar. Whisk vigorously, any other type of whisking is not allowed. Mine should have been one idea softer, but in that way it worked too. As I couldn't mix it very well with the whisk, I switched back to the spatula, which too did not work very well. But after all, this is not a problem as everything will mix well enough in the dough, so don't worry. 15 minutes have passed, so we take our flour, yeast, milk mixture and add to the yellow sweetie fatty mixture. Things are about to get very sticky, but this is expected. I use spatula to mix everything well. Not only to mix, but try to smash the dough with the spatula as I do, so the yeast and the butter can incorporate well in the dough. Mix until you do not see any chunks of butter. It would be very sticky as I said, so brace yourself. Take some flour on your cutting board, table or whatever you're using and transfer your sticky dough over it. Again, I use the spatula for this. Start covering your dough with flour, but be careful. It should become less sticky, but it should be still soft, so do not use too much flour. At this point of time your dough should be soft but not so sticky anymore. Flour your bowl so the dough won't stick to it and transfer it back in. Cover with a Comrade purple towel and put it on the sunny window for at least half an hour. Take a peek at it, but be careful not to scare it as it will not rise. After half an hour, put it back over the floured cutting board. I split it in 3 similar to size parts and flour them a little bit, just not to stick to me or to the cutting board. As we will not need any more flour at this point, I transfer the dough balls to another board. The time has come to incorporate some dried fruit. I'm choosing raisins. If it is sticky, just splash some flour with your hands, just a little bit. Just sprinkle some. Connect the 3 parts of the dough and make a braid. I'm not very skilled, but it worked just fine. Again, if it's sticky, just add a little bit of flour to the sticky parts. Meanwhile, preheat your oven to 170 Celsius or 340 Fahrenheit. Take a baking sheet and put some paper over it. Transfer your KOZUNAK on top. Time to take advantage of our egg white. I told you that we'll be putting it into use. Use the Slav Picasso instruments to cover your pastry with the egg white. After that, take a spoonful of sugar and put it on top. It will stick thanks to the egg white. Science! By the way, this is how you do not open a package of almonds. Cover it with some almonds if you want, or if you have some left from opening this package. You can use something else essentially, but almonds are a classic topping. And this is how it should look like before baking. Put it in the oven for 35 to 40 minutes and take a good rest. You deserve it after all. Now see how the dough comes to life. By the way, here's an example of Slav engineering when you do not want reflections to your camera. After 35 minutes, we're rewarded with perfectly baked, crispy Cozonac on the outside and soft sweet pure bread on the inside. Transfer it to a cooling rack and wait for it to fully rest. Don't eat it hot if you can. The loaf turned around to be 550 grams when it was fully cooled. It came out huge. See, this is my hand for scale.
Bonus Slavness.
Bonus round. Basically, you can use the same dough to make a roll with some marmalade or to make mini buns. Just make sure to use flour if it is too sticky. I'll show you a quick video now of how to prepare the roll. Basically, you use some marmalade with some flour in it or crushed biscuits. Use some edible flour. I used walnut flour in this case. Roll your dough to become like a sheet. Don't over roll it so it won't become very thin, and fill it with the marmalade mixture. After that, roll, add some egg white again, sprinkle a little bit of croquant over the top or anything you want, and bake it for the same time. After that, you're rewarded with a huge, tremendous roll filled with delicious marmalade. By the way, this is tastier when it's cooled in the fridge. And yep, that's it. Let's cut the Cozonac with our cheap Amazon chef knife, so we see how it looks on the inside. Perfectly baked. As I expected, of course. I didn't have any hesitations at any point of the video. Try not to eat it all, I warn you, it is quite a hard thing to do that. Energy? Yep, I managed to calculate even the nutritional values for this masterpiece. Yes, I'll call it masterpiece from now on. For the ones who only eat diet bread, 100 grams of this perfection or masterpiece has 276 calories, 43 carbs, 8 fats and 7 protein. And yeah, I hope you liked it. And basically, as final words, if you have eaten brioche or stollen or panettone at some point of your life, you'll love this. It is a little bit lighter with a very fluffy texture. It has a nice sweet touch from the raisins and very nice nutty aftertaste from the almonds. Perfect for holidays and for regular days. Totally give it a try. Well, I don't know what else to say to you, so Slav you next time.